Story 1. I used to be employed as a dispatcher for a small-town police department in rural Oklahoma. Our town was tiny, so much so that we only had 2 officers on patrol during night shifts, and even then, things remained quiet. But one specific night still gives me chills. Around 2:30 a.m., we got a call from an elderly woman. She claimed someone was walking around her property, whispering her name. It sounded creepy, but not exactly rare for someone lonely or confused. In the middle of the night, I sent one of our patrol cars to check it out. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I radioed the officer. Nothing, dead silence. I tried again, no response. I called the other officer, who was a few miles out. He raced toward the house. When he got there, he found the front door wide open, but the house was empty. No sign of the officer who went in. Dispatch panic mode kicked in. We tried to reach him over and over. Finally, about 40 minutes later, the missing officer called in, whispering on the radio. He sounded terrified. Said he'd found something in the woods behind the house, something watching him. He wouldn't explain further and refused to go back into those woods. He took medical leave after that night and never returned to the force. We never figured out what he saw. The woman eventually moved, and that house stayed empty ever since. Story 2. Back when I worked patrol, there was this long stretch of road outside town that everyone hated driving at night. It cut through thick woods, and there were no lights for miles. One foggy night, I was on routine patrol when I spotted a man walking along the edge of the road. No flashlight, no reflective, clothing, just walking in total darkness. I pulled over, flipped on my lights, and asked if he needed help. He didn't answer, just kept walking. I got out of the car and called out again. That's when he turned and smiled. But something was off. His eyes were too wide, almost glowing in my headlights. He said nothing, just pointed into the trees. I asked him to step away from the road, but he turned around and disappeared into the woods without a sound. I radioed it in and walked a few feet in after him, shining my light between the trees. But he was going to completely vanish. No footsteps, no rustling, nothing. I went back the next morning in daylight with another officer. We found a shallow pit in the spot where he disappeared, dug out like someone had tried to bury something. But it was empty. They said it was just a drifter or some prank. But I've driven that road dozens of times since. Never saw anyone there again. Story 3. One summer night, we brought in a woman on a domestic disturbance call. She wasn't violent, just shaken up, crying and mumbling about someone trying to hurt her. Placed her in the holding cell for her safety while we sorted everything out. She calmed down after a bit, curled up on the bench. We figured she'd be fine until morning. About 2 hours later, overnight officer went to check on her and found her standing in the middle of the cell, staring at the wall, completely silent. When he asked if she was okay, she pointed at the security camera in the corner and whispered, "He's watching me through that." We reviewed the footage. She'd been sleeping for an hour, then suddenly sat bolt upright and started talking to someone who wasn't there. Her mouth moved, but there was no sound. Then she stood and pointed at the camera. What really shook us, though, was when the screen glitched for a second. Just static. And when it came back, for a split second, there was something standing behind her, tall, dark, and motionless. But in the next frame, it was gone. She was still alone. We moved her to another room and had the system inspected. No faults. Errors. And that glitch. Never happened before or after. She left the next morning and never came back to town.